please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, in an important development, the United States has postponed the 2+2 dialogue with India for unavoidable reasons. Rituparna Bhuyan joins us on the phone line with more details. Ritu, good morning. Tell us what really do you make of it? What reasons have been actually given for this postponement of the meeting?
No reasons have been given. The 2+2 format is actually a dialogue that was decided between Mr. Modi and Mr. Trump, where strategic and defense issues were to be discussed. The talks were scheduled on July 6th, where Sushma Swaraj and Nirmala Sitharaman were to fly to Washington to meet their defense and strategic affairs colleagues in Washington. This is not the first time that these talks have been postponed. The talks were originally scheduled in April, but it got postponed. Yesterday it got postponed again. No date has been given. Now these talks have been postponed when both India and US have been having issues on strategic as well as defense issues. For example, in these 2+2 talks, India was to raise the issue of sanctions on Russia on defense issues, which would impact Indian and Russian defense deals. On the US side, they are not comfortable with India buying crude oil from Iran, and the Department of State has been saying that it will talk to the Indian government to ensure that the Indian oil companies do not buy oil from Iran. Last but not the least, there have also been issues on trade issues, for example, and there is a senior delegation of officials right now talking about trade issues between India and US. So in this backdrop, the 2+2 talks have been postponed and no new date has been fixed.
All right, Rituparna, thanks a lot for that. Let's move on to the latest in the Aircel Maxis case. Then the Supreme Court has allowed the government to investigate the allegations against senior ED official Rajeshwar Singh, the man in charge of the Aircel Maxis probe. Ashmit Kumar filed this report.
Well, there are three key stakeholders here. One is the petitioner who's making all the charges. The second, of course, is the government. And then, of course, there's the ED, and there appears to be some asymmetry between the two in terms of how they're thinking. We'll come to that in just a bit. But first, as far as petitioners are concerned, the charges that are being leveled. The petitioners have essentially leveled charges that there are assets that Rajeshwar Singh has accumulated that are disproportionate to his known sources of income. They also make charges of extortion, that he's issued as many as 1,500 notices under the PMLA, which is essentially an extortion tactic. And the reason that the petitioner's side is that the 2017 interim order of the Apex Court gives protection to Rajeshwar Singh against action from any authority, and this order essentially is what petitioners argue has been misused. The government on its part has importantly made a very clear distinction. Number one, as far as the old charges are concerned that were leveled back in 2011, the government says those charges have been pursued by the CBI and that matter is closed now. There is no merit there. But as far as charges post the Supreme Court's protection order, the government stance is very clear that these charges have been leveled, that they haven't been pursued, but they need to be pursued as of right now, and that the government will not protect any stakeholder, however high and mighty. That's the language coming in from the affidavit of the government. And herein comes the ED stance. The ED stance later this evening today clarified that as far as ED is concerned, they reinstate their position that he has been a responsible officer, that he has an unblemished track record, that he's had an outstanding career. So the ED clearly throwing its weight behind Rajeshwar Singh as of this point. But of course, the big takeaway from the Apex Court being that the Supreme Court has cleared the decks for the government to go ahead and to proceed with investigating Rajeshwar Singh if it thinks so fit. It has also given liberty to the government to go ahead and to remove Rajeshwar Singh from the Aircel Maxis investigation. So clearly, as of right now, the government's demands being met, but clearly asymmetry right now between the government as well as the Enforcement Directorate. Back to you.
Okay, that was the latest regarding Aircel and Maxis case. But Dr. Red, DRL actually has launched a new generics Suboxone that is facing a legal hurdle in the US court, and a hearing is likely today. Details on that when we return from this very short break.
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18. Now remember, while today it's FNO expiry, yesterday we got a circular from the exchanges where the NSE has increased additional exposure margin for select companies from July 29th to July 26th, which is the July series itself. So what does this mean? Well, for people to take positions in FNO stocks, they have to submit or deposit a certain margin with the exchanges as well as with their brokers, which in turn goes to the exchanges. However, now for some stocks, 19 stocks, the list should come up for you, there the margins have been increased, or for one to take a position in that FNO stock, the margins they have to pay would be higher than the normal margins. So the street believes that these FNO positions that there are, or the FNO positions in these stocks that have been enlisted, will be unwound to prevent additional margins. So the likes of Balrampur Chini, BEML, Capital First, Century Textiles, CESC, you have GMR Infra as well, which was down about 14% this series. India Cements down 17% this series. The street believes the shorts will be covered out there. And for stocks which have seen some gains in this series, very few actually as we speak, DHFL up 5%, perhaps there could be some unwinding. So we will watch out for how these stocks pan out. In want of additional exposure, perhaps the positions could be unwound. So we will watch out for that stock. But remember, it's expiry today, and this series likely to end on a weak note. Nigel, as always, is here to take us through the performance of the market and stocks in the June series. Welcome back, Nigel.
Well, thanks so much for that. It's good to be back. And in fact, I was just taking a look at the series in June. Well, a couple of headwinds, really, for the markets in this series itself. You had the Trump war cry, you had crude prices that moved up, the rupee as well did show some kind of weakness, and in fact the FI is selling. That's nearly around 9,000 crores for this series itself. What really soured sentiment, though, for the broader markets is the additional surveillance measures. That's what led to a bit of an underperformance from the mid-cap as well as the small-cap space. So those were the reasons, really, that, in fact, we did see quite a bit of selling in the series. Well, how did the series go so far? Well, we're really in football mode, right? Soccer mode. So if you had to count that, and if you had to put it in football parlance, then we are halfway through this particular year. And in fact, it's 3 each. 3 to the Bulls and 3 to the Bears as we speak. January went to the Bulls, while in fact after that, we had the April and the May series as well that did go to the Bulls. But as we speak, the Nifty is down nearly around 65 points for this series itself. Let's put down the key numbers then for this series. The Nifty is down marginally, only around 60-65 points. The Nifty Bank, well, that's down only around 2%. But the broader markets, that's where the real pain is. The mid-cap and the small-cap space, that's lost anything between 4 to around 8%, telling you that in the broader markets, in fact, there was a lot of pain. Well, if you're looking at some key indices that were losing out, the Realty Index, the Metal Index, and the PSU Banking Index, they got slammed in the past series. But remember, the Bulls, they took the right pill, actually, in the past series, because you had the Nifty Pharma Index that was up nearly around 13%, and in fact, if you take a look at it, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, all of them did very, very well. You had the likes of Cipla, Auto Pharma, as well as Glenmark Pharma. All of them gave you returns of anything between 10 to around 20% odd. Some of those stocks that were expensive, well, everyone was looking to buy quality in this series. So TCS trading at more than 21 times, that got bought into, gave you returns of around 7%. Buyback news as well did play out. Bajaj Finance as well, valuation-wise, not cheap, but that's telling you that money is flowing towards quality. That as well is up nearly around 10%. But there were some losers as well. You have the likes of UPL, couple of these, PSU stocks as well that were under some pressure. L&T, by the way, that was down nearly around 10% in this series, and that's what's putting pressure on the Nifty and preventing the Nifty from moving higher. Well, let's get to the broader markets then. If you want to really see the pain out there, Reliance Communications, HCC is down to nearly around 10 rupees now. Remember, we have already seen a lot of selling. That continues to play out. NBCC had a horrid trading session yesterday. That stock is down nearly around 20% for the series, and a whole host of losers that are for you on the screen. But one thing's clear, the consumer story, that in fact is seeing some buying. Your Jubilant Foodworks, that's up nearly around 10% odd. Page Industries, Bata as well should come up for you in the screen. And when you have the metal index that's underperforming, keep an eye out on SAIL. That, by the way, has given you returns of nearly around 6%. So to wrap this up, well, we're down marginally for the series. The mid-cap index has seen a lot of pain. And at the halfway mark, well, 3 to the Bulls, 3 to the Bears, at least as we speak. Back to you.
Okay, Nigel, thank you so much for that. So the bulls taking the right pill and the Nifty Pharma up around 13%, with the likes of Dr. Reddy's gaining around 18%. In fact, Dr. Reddy's will be in focus today as well because it has launched a new generic Suboxone at risk in the US market. Now the drug has hit a legal hurdle now in US. Ekta joins in with more details on that. Ekta, good morning, over to you.
Hi, morning. Well, like you mentioned, Suboxone is an anti-drug addiction drug that Dr. Reddy's had received approval for on the 14th of June, along with other companies such as Maiden. Now, the market size of this particular drug is around $750 million. So it is quite an important opportunity for Dr. Reddy's, though there are around 4 to 5 other companies which could potentially enter the market. However, the key point being that this particular drug is mired under litigation with the innovator and Dr. Reddy's. So that means that Dr. Reddy's, who launched the drug, was actually at an risk. So, for example, there was an at-risk launch for Dr. Reddy's, which means that the litigation was ongoing when they entered the market because of the US FDA approval. So, the innovator of the drug moved against Dr. Reddy's, and the court, the US court, basically put a stop to Dr. Reddy's from selling the drug temporarily. They can still manufacture the drug, but they can't commercially sell it. And the hearing for that particular issue with regards to one patent is actually going to take place today in the US. So we're probably going to get to know about it, say, tomorrow or over the weekend, and basically figure what the court has to say with regards to this, whether Dr. Reddy's can continue selling the drug, and even if they can, whether this is going to go into a higher appeals court in the US market. So it is going to be important because this particular drug is important for Dr. Reddy's. Nomura, for example, estimates that they can make around 10 rupees in FY19 and 12 rupees in FY20, and there could be a windfall gain from this product if in case the competition would be limited for Dr. Reddy's initially for it. So your EPS addition could go up to anywhere between 30 to 35 rupees as well. So that's the big cue to watch out for Dr. Reddy's, and we'll be keeping track of it.
Absolutely, Ekta. Thanks a lot for that. We will be keeping a track of it. But let's track the action coming in from the FIFA World Cup in Russia. Again, this has been the World Cup with the most amount of unpredictabilities as well as upsets. Defending world champions Germany, they were knocked out of the World Cup. And this after a shocker 2-0 defeat to South Korea. Remember, Germany has been knocked out in the group stages of the World Cup for the first time since 1938. So that's almost 80 years since the German team has been knocked out in the group stages itself. Meanwhile, 5-time world champions Brazil, they secured their spot in the round of 16 after a comfortable 2-0 victory over Serbia. Sweden, on the other hand, thrashed Mexico 3-0 to secure a top spot in the group and qualify for the round of 16. This result also meant that Mexico too made it through to this round of 16 at Germany's expense.
Well, yes, Mangalam, yesterday was a very interesting day with a lot of surprises and shocks. But in matches to watch out for today, England and Belgium, who have already qualified from World Cup Group G, will face each other today in what will be the last group game in the FIFA World Cup 2018. Also, a knockout spot will be at stake when Colombia take on Senegal in their last group match today. Okay, it's time now for a quick break, but as we slip into a break, here is a weather report from SkyMet.
Hi, this is Fawzia. Welcome to SkyMet Weather Report. On Wednesday, monsoon has covered East Rajasthan, most parts of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, and some parts of Punjab. Consequently, light to moderate showers may occur over Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir and plains including Delhi NCR. All thanks to the cyclonic circulation over North Rajasthan and East Uttar Pradesh and a trough extending across Rajasthan, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. These systems would also increase rain activity over East Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand. Besides this, Sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Sikkim and parts of Assam would see moderate rains with 1 or 2 heavy spells, while Gangetic West Bengal including Kolkata, parts of Odisha and remaining northeastern states will settle with light to moderate rains. In central parts, light to moderate showers are possible over East Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh and parts of West Madhya Pradesh and South Rajasthan. Meanwhile, light to moderate rain show will go on over Konkan and Goa. Light showers in Mumbai will continue. Down south, North Telangana would see moderate to heavy showers. Besides this, coastal Karnataka, Kerala will observe moderate rains with 1 or 2 heavy spells on account of the offshore trough along the west coast. Let's look at the temperatures. Delhi would have a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius and minimum 26 degrees Celsius. The maximum temperature in Lucknow would be 36 and minimum temperature 26 degrees Celsius. In Kolkata, the day temperature would be 33 and night temperature 25 degrees Celsius. That's it. Wrapping up. For more updates, stay tuned to skymitweather.com.
Well, crude has definitely pared some of the gains, but remember, this is in context to the 3% rally that we saw in crude last night. And to take us through all that about inventory decline and production cuts, let's go across to Manisha Gupta, who's standing by for more details on that. Manisha, good morning. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. It's a very, very volatile market when it comes to energy. And as you said, we did see a 2014 highs in the New York session yesterday, and Asia really is all over the place. But then we have seen a biggest weekly drop in the U.S. inventories in this year by 9.9 million barrels, and that really has pushed the prices even higher. The U.S., of course, has been producing on a very high record run. The refineries are working on a high rate. Exports have been on the higher side as well, and that perhaps explains the 9.9 million barrel of a draw in the previous week. The U.S. crude oil prices gained more than 3% overnight. We also have seen the Brent prices trading at a May highs. And as you said, there are concerns about the Iran sanctions. It also has to do with the supply concerns coming in from Canada, Libya, Venezuela, etc. And the demand estimates are on the stronger side for the second half of 2018. So everywhere that you look, you are looking at strong fundamentals into the market. Add to that the fears of the global trade, concerns, relations, etc. And this is a market that really seems to be heating up right now. We have seen the crude oil prices gain up by 8% in last 1 week itself, and the markets are anticipating that you haven't seen the last of it. We perhaps have seen a near-term bottom, and from here as well, there could be yet another couple of dollars of gains coming in for the U.S. crude.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for that, but can't keep our eyes off the equity markets today, given it is the June series expiry. So let's take a look at the futures and options space. In this series itself, the Nifty started the series with 10,736 as the level. Now we're trading 65 points below that. So looks like we're just 65 points below, most of which came down yesterday. But remember, all through the series, there has been a lot of volatility. The series high has been close to around 10,900. Low has been 10,551, telling you that the market swung 350 points on either side. By and large, over the last few sessions, we had held on to that 10,700 mark. While we fell from there, that one took all the investors by surprise. So the FIs, they sold about 1,300 crores in index options, and out there we saw unwinding of long calls as well as addition of some short calls. The markers placed for today, maximum open interest at 10,800 call, 10,600 put at the bottom. We saw some selling at 10,800, 10,750 and 10,700 calls, while 10,700 put, which was earlier the maximum open interest, saw a lot of unwinding. Cumulatively, the 10,700 straddle has a premium of close to around 70 points. So 70 points on either side of 10,700 is what we're watching out for. For the Nifty Bank, 200 points on either side is where the most active options are placed. And I'm just keeping an eye out on two stocks ahead of expiry. CG Power and IDBI Bank come out of FNO ban.
Okay, so Nifty currently down 65 points for the June expiry, and the exchange Nifty suggesting a start at that 10,650 mark. Let's see how the day pans out, but that's all the time we had on Power Breakfast today. From the team and myself, thank you so much for watching.